today I decided to show you my dissertation defense. If you've ever wondered what a dissertation defense is like or how they are conducted, now is your opportunity to find out. And I should let you know that I'm not just here as Ryan Russell today. I'm here as Dr. Ryan Russell. This defense is basically what made me a doctor. And I hope you enjoy it. And I also hope anybody watching this that it's enlightening to you. Thank you, and without further ado, here is the lived experience mothers have with social media. I would like to thank everyone for this opportunity to present my dissertation defense. This is about examining the lived experience mothers have with social media. I was very fortunate to have a great dissertation committee, especially my chair, Dr. Angelica Stones, who I truly believe I would not be here without her. In the dissertation defense, we tell a little about ourselves, about our journey here. Um, I will just say a little bit. This isn't all that I said at my defense. I'm Ryan Russell. I started attending here in 2013. I looked for a doctorate degree a long time. It's always actually been a dream of mine to help people and to be a college professor someday. So let me introduce my topic. Research has shown that 75% of mothers in the United States are Facebook users. The project examined their lived experiences of social media. Lived means how they're currently experiencing it. And then how they assign meaning to motherhood through those experiences. Research previously to this has mostly focused on young and expectant mothers, but never what I call experienced mothers, who for this study were between the ages of 5 and 18, had, had a child between the age of 5 and 18, still enrolled in school. So that's where this changed. We looked at their online support systems, which have replaced traditional support systems. It used to be that the only people a mother had to really interact with were those in her immediate vicinity, but as you are well aware, social media has changed that. Research has shown that there is a significant impact. New mothers are negatively impacted by social media. As a whole, keep in mind, not everybody. And this revealed a need for us to know how mothers continue to be affected by social media as they grow in their mothering role. And for my school, North Central University, the problem statement is supposed to be explained word for word. The experience of social media and women as they grow in their mothering role and as they continue mothering through different stages of parenting was unknown. Due to that information gap, there needed to be an exploration of the lived experience of experienced mothers. It was likely that they experienced social media differently as they grew in their mothering role, but due to lack of research, there is no information to conclude if this was the case or not. So that led to the purpose. And as I've said, the purpose of this study was to examine the experiences of these experienced mothers in North America, how they, with social media, how they informed their perception of motherhood, their development as a mother, and how they assigned meaning to their mothering through their social media experience. The theoretical conceptual framework relied on the social comparison theory, or SCT for short. This operates that under the assumption that humans compare themselves to other humans as a measure of success. It has a broad spectrum, meaning that there are many things such as emotions, finances, and other phenomena gleaned from interviews. Most literature has cited SET as a contributing factor to depression and negative emotions. And the phenomenological method was used for this, which basically is an open interview format where people can express and answer however they feel. And just for an example, if you're not sure what the social comparison theory means, two people will compare themselves to each other. Maybe say, oh, well, I'm not as attractive as this person. This person has a better car than me. And then they draw their self-worth from these assumptions. So the nature of the study dealt with experienced mothers. They were conducted through phone interviews. They were involving their experiences and feelings with social media. And I should add here that I hope to continue this research throughout my professional career. There were three primary research questions. One, how do experienced mothers, defined as women with children between 5 and 18, describe their lived experience with social media? Two, how do they describe how social media affects their perceptions of motherhood? Three, how do experienced mothers assign meaning to their own mothering through their experiences with social media? So we have the lived experience of social media, how it affects their perceptions of motherhood, and how it's affected their experiences and perceptions in their own role as a mother. As I've said, in my findings, this was the first study to deal exclusively with an older age group of mothers, meaning they're not expected or brand new mothers. So it opened a new topic for the literature. And that's the main thing of any doctorate, uh, be it medical or philosophical, like a psychology, even a doctor in English, a doctor in whatever, is to find a gap in the literature and to expound on it. And that's what my study did because there was no previous research. It answered the questions, do experienced mothers experience social media differently than new mothers? It showed what content appeals to mothers more this age group. It also showed methods for decreasing negative feelings from social media. A review of the literature was conducted through EBSCOhost, which is how the library my school uses. I use search terms based on theories such as the social comparison theory. I looked up all combinations of motherhood, experienced mothers, older mothers, just quite a few combinations. I looked up social media, and more than that, I looked up individual social media platforms to see what research had been done. I looked at previous studies for the review. I looked for definitions of social media, comparisons. These were very important as the foundation for my research. It also revealed exclusively that the literature was significantly lacking for these mothers. A significant source of information from social media came from the internet because when it comes to marketing, they're at the top of their game and they are worried about making money, so their information is always accurate and up to date. The research methodology used a qualitative phenomenological study, and as I said before, that is just an open interview, say what you need to say, how you feel. The best part about this information gaining technique is it can make almost more of a discussion. They may reveal things that nobody had considered before. So it's great for this method. And also, the literature showed that This would probably be the best method, and as this is the first to study this age group, it was the best as far as grabbing general information. It was a gateway to other things, and I think I kind of told you all this, but the best thing about this is that this research um, was able to benefit greatly from that of new mothers, and now for the future research, it can serve as a basis for experienced mother studies. Population and samples. First, they are mothers, and for this study, the primary characteristic was that they were mothers of children enrolled in school or of the proper age. The age of the mother is inconsequential because women enter motherhood at different ages. The act of becoming a mother is significant. The study consisted of 13 participants. What ages they were, I didn't ask. I don't know about ethnicity. I did I do know that their living location, all urban, suburban, and in between, are well represented. Rural. Some are religious, some are not, as they revealed in the study. And there were single mothers, separated mothers, those not married, and those married. And there were some that worked from home, and others that worked in the home. They needed to use social media at least once a week and participate in an interview on the phone. In my dissertation, I have all the questions that they had to answer. They were 10 yes or no. After they answered those 10 questions, they were given a quiz for future further information. There were okay. Oh, guys, I haven't done this since June, so I got a little ahead of myself. Okay, so residential setting, I discussed that. Relationship status, and the recruitment procedures through social media and word of mouth. The questions that I used to find these mothers were approved by an expert in social media who was not a mother, a therapist that deals with mothers and is a mother, but her children do not fit in the demographics. And the final expert was a medical doctor specializing in family medicine who is very highly held and well renowned in her sphere. It has a special interest in women's health. She used social media and was a mother that would have fit this study but did not participate since she was one of the experts. And they felt that it addressed the desired subject adequately. So the material and instrumentation were interview questions. There was a program called Qualtrics. That's what I used for the survey. So it was very valuable. I analyzed things originally planned to using in vivo, but unfortunately, I that didn't help. I found that analyzing through a human analysis was more beneficial. So the study procedures, information gathering, and then those were transcribed into a document. The interviews were recorded to make the transcription, and the transcription was done by myself. Originally, I was going to make that available to the mothers to check things, but Minnie said that was not the case, and unfortunately, due to my disability, I'm not a very fast typer, and other life events got in my way and I wasn't able to do that, but none made the request. Finally, things were analyzed. So data collection, I obtained the information, stored the information, did software human analysis. You guys don't need to hear all this. The assumptions were that participants would answer honestly, feel safe, because we take very many efforts to make sure that participants in these studies are protected. There is also the thought that all mothers have certain similarities. For most mothers, they care about their child as much, if not more, than themselves. And so that was a hope that there would be certain similarities. Also, it was thought that mothers will want to help other mothers, so that other mothers don't have to go through the learning process they went through. And they understood that there was no compensation, no payment. Limitations could have been a bad day. I'm sure any mothers listening to this or watching it know that sometimes you have rough or bad days. And a few times interviews needed to be rescheduled. There were some technical difficulties. I had one call drop in the middle, I had to repeat, and I had another call that interview that was conducted and it didn't record. It had to be repeated. And also participants might withhold. But I would say to anybody watching this that ever gets an opportunity to serve in a study such as this, please tell everything you feel. Don't hold back, because you're helping the future by telling all that you feel needs to be said. The delimitations, meaning basically the requirements, were that it only involved experienced mothers. Are you a mother? Because there are all types of mothers, and that wasn't the purpose here. Okay, they needed to use social media at least once a week. There were many qualified for this study, but they did not all turn in the required paperwork. Things happened, so they did not all participate. The IRB, which is the Independent Review Board, approved this study October 18, 2018. They were assured of anonymity, all signed a confidentiality agreement, and during the study, everything was encrypted and stored. And any identifying information was destroyed. The next slide is research question 1, which is describe your lived experience in social media. Underneath that were 3 or 4 other questions. 1, why do you use social media? What's your primary activity on social media? How does social media make you feel personally? And how do you feel about blogs? The second question, describe how social media affects your perceptions, was what was your mother's stance when you began using social media? What is your social media use like now compared to before you were a mother? How do you see motherhood represented on social media? Oh, sorry. Research question 3. How do they assign meaning to their own mothering through their experiences with social media? So 1, how would you describe your overall experience with social media and motherhood? What expectations do you feel are placed on you as a mother by society when it comes to social media? 3, how would new mothers perceive these expectations? The social comparison theory was always a key factor in the literature involving new mothers, but it was found that for experienced mothers, the social comparison theory is not as great a factor as it was for young mothers. And the primary difference was experience. I believe as a mother's age, as anybody ages, they realize that everybody's on a different level, different path, different experiences. That just because this person over here has this and seem successful, it doesn't mean that you need that to be successful. So experience was a major factor. There were some negative impacts that social media causes, and mothers recognize these negative impacts and the effects they have in their lives, but must admit that as new mothers, they did not see these negative impacts, and over time, they had to discover it through themselves. Blogs used to be cited as a major thing to use, but this research showed that very, very few like blogs and read blogs. Video, I say it because with my BiPAP, I say vlog and it sounds like blog. So video blog is the easiest thing for me to do. But mothers like that and podcasts because while they're busy doing things, they can still listen to that. And a blog, you have to spend some time to do it. These mothers saw a lot of mother shaming, parent shaming on social media, and the representations weren't always positive. They found about half felt that their best way to handle all of this was to use closed groups or just the messaging capacities of social media. And I went through and answered each question. So for this, it's one, stay in touch with family and friends. Closed groups are and control measures such as they get on, check their first feed, get off. Check messages, get off. They don't scroll down for a long time. And that helped them to get rid of some of the negativity. In closed groups, they can be moderated, and there's kind of, you definitely know what you're getting into when you go to the group. And if you don't like something somebody's doing, you can get out or they can be kicked out. 25% of these mothers reported feeling depressed. 75% felt positive or neutral. And the fact that the highest percentage felt positive and neutral is a good indicator. They all reported feeling some negative things. As younger mothers, some even reported depression. But the numbers have kind of switched. Blogs are ineffective. Blogs are best, but they've got to be real. And I'm sure all of you watching this know what I mean by that. Even those who began using social media after becoming a mother still face many of the feelings of new mothers. Of these, 4 had one child, and so only 3 were users of social media before they became mothers. 10 were mothers before they began using social media. Of these 10, 4 had one child, and 6 had more than one child. It also seemed that those who were using social media before becoming mothers are more affected by it, or took longer to learn how to overcome the negative feelings that it causes. So that's those who use social media before they became mothers. And let's face it, that's about everybody now. It feels more personal now and is a valuable tool. They reported that when they first started using social media, which has to do as much with technology as them, that it was pretty broad. It wasn't personal like it is now. And they would discuss topics with strangers, and now it's got more immediate friends and family. Sometimes just because it's friends and family doesn't mean it's always a great thing, because they have friends who comment. But it's more positive and neutral than negative now. There's still some parent shaming, and to anybody that might be guilty of this, just because it's the best way for you and your kids doesn't mean it's the best way for somebody else's children. And just because that worked best for your first three children doesn't mean it's going to be what's best for your fourth and fifth children because they might be different. But most of these mothers are able to ignore the parent shaming. Body shaming is a little less predominant, but you know, everybody's different. How do they assign meaning to their own mothering through their experiences with social media? 25% see it negatively or feel depressive symptoms, much lower than new mothers. And this might be that with age, they've learned more about themselves, how to handle these emotions. Or the other possibility is that the 25% who feel negative feelings around their social media use have depression or depressive symptoms and have since then. There's likely no way to change social media to be more favorable for those who suffer depression, but it is possible to change the way medical professionals and individuals increase awareness of the potential negative aspects. And that's actually, I didn't say this in my presentation, but with positive psychology, well-being, and can be taught, people can learn to handle it better or what to avoid. So that is very promising. That's something I work on as a life coach with people and with my other counsel talking that I do with people. 3 felt that they were expected to use social media, and 5 felt none, while the rest felt some pressure. Those that felt there were expectations to use social media was not so much by the platforms, but by family and friends, because that is an easy way to share pictures. When asked how they thought new mothers would perceive these expectations, 7 responses were recorded as neutral. Those who said it depends on the confidence level of the mother are those who, for the most part, came from larger families where they were one of the older siblings or somebody that babysat for family members or for other families. And also in the same way, there were a few that were the youngest in the family, and their confidence was affected by seeing older siblings be mothers and watching them and knowing they had many resources to depend to fall on. And remind you, this is for what they felt for new mothers, what they believed, or just their assumption based on their feelings before. So I found that 25% still are affected negatively, 75% positively or neutral. Compare that to 60% were negative and 35% neutral, 15% positive. So it went from, hey, I didn't do my math right there, did I? Okay, anyway, that's funny now. So yeah, it's 15% said it was positive for them and 25% neutral. So 25-70, 60-40. Mind you, I'm not a math major, I'm a psychology major, okay? So the recommendations were that it's better to use closed groups, limit time that you're on social media, and how much you scroll. If you need help, seek help from a mental health professional, counselor, or a life coach. They can help you realize where these depressive feelings are coming from. Mothers view other mothers as experts over medical personnel. Well, Experience is an amazing important factor. Medical professionals and mental health professionals also are able to help. So maybe take advice what you can, but you'll weigh it against each other. See where you feel with it. Blogs are not as helpful as they once were. They're not useful. Vlogs are much better. They must be real. Several of you, um, of those who participated, liked juggling the Jenkins on YouTube as an example because she is real, shows where she is, the messy sides of motherhood, not just the clean everything. Mothers need to have real conversations about their support structure. Talk to somebody. Find out who is the greatest source of support. Who do I have as support? Talk to a doctor or somebody about it. Try to see where it's all at. This is for a new mother. If you're going to become a mother, do this. If you've been a mother for a while, take a look at it. And be selective of the platform that you use. If somebody comes to me as a life coach and says, I'm really feeling down, I'm not happy, and we look at all the factors that you're going through, my main purpose is to help you to reach your goals, feel better, and improve yourself. So, for instance, we might say, maybe you should look at a different platform that's not as doesn't have as many comments or not as argumentative. So my recommendations for anybody that studies this in the future are to look at specific demographics, base it, do a study on race, do a study on religious versus non-religious, do a study on urban, rural, all kinds of things. With this group of mothers especially, well, maybe a survey of 10 questions or 20 questions will can cover a lot of views. It, if you do that, you're really missing out on some great insights and information from mothers. Recognize ways that we can help mothers to recognize the feelings that are associated with social media, where the negative feelings come from, and talk about what they feel they're expected to do on social media. Possible research questions will be what is social media use like now compared to when they were younger, the feelings, and it goes on and on. In conclusion, I shared a personal picture. I'm the baby in the middle there held by my mother, and my father right there next to her. And those are all my siblings behind. I have been very blessed with a wonderful mother. And she's part of the reason I wanted to study this topic. And because I know so many, there's so many friends that are mothers, and I just admire them all. Many still need help, and for future researchers, medical professional, mental health personnel, they are the best position to be that help. Mothers, parents, and any person that fulfills a parenting or mental role are important to human society as a whole. Parents are the first teachers of children and often feel the least amount of support. The mothers in this study report that sometimes it is very lonely and they are usually in over their head, as every child is different and they do not come with a user manual. Mental health and medical health professionals must recognize that many of these experienced mothers still need help. They are in the best position to be that help. It should be clear that new mothers and experienced mothers do not have the same lived experience with social media, and that research with one category of mothers or parents does not entirely correlate to another category. Experienced mothers with one child between the age of 5 and 18 understand the experiences of new mothers, and many have overcome those experiences, but many have not. Therefore, further research on this population of mothers is crucial to the future. And I'm back. A normal dissertation defense, at North Central University at least, is supposed to be 25 minutes, not counting the introduction you give about yourself at the beginning. This has gone more than 25 minutes because, as most of you watching this aren't in the psychology world or mental health world, I've tried to explain a little bit more just to make things clear. At the end of the presentation, they ask questions. Um, I can't exactly recall the questions that were asked, but if anybody watching this has questions, you can ask them at the bottom, and they may be talked about in future videos, or I still have my slideshow up on the other side. A fellow life coach and I are starting a support group for mothers. It might expand to different things, and there may be times when it's open to other people, but this is to help people with whatever needs they may have, and also we're available as life coaches to help somebody if they want further help. But the support group would be for free. I really can't express enough how lucky I am to have the mother I do. And I've had so many other women in my life that at different times have served me in a mothering type role, you know, giving me service. Again, I have so many friends that are mothers. Some of you don't know what a profound influence you have on me and you have on those around you. And there's even one mother who that I know that's one of the most exceptional, wonderful mothers and people I know who did not have an example in her home of a loving mother or a mother that took care of her. So for those of you mothers out there who are doing your best, you fathers doing your best, you parents doing your best, aunts, uncles, whatever, thank you. And there are people out there that are able to help you. Just because you have a problem or a hard time doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Just because you have go to see a counselor or a psychologist or a life coach, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. I'll be doing a video here pretty soon where I talk about uh, why you should go to a psychologist, counselor, life coach, what the difference is, and what they do and do not mean. I thank everybody for all of your time. Again, this is a topic I'm passionate about. So if you have more questions, let me know or have ideas of what I can do to research or comments, please let them know. And just know that I may have messed up a few times with some of my wording. Some things may not have come out properly. In the actual defense, they did. But thank you, and I wish you all well, and I hope you have a very positive and happy day. Thank you. Bye.